That's embarrassing. But why? Why are we embarrassed? Let's find out. Hello again. Still in the funk. Still not feeling great, but let's try and lighten things up a little bit. We're the subject of embarrassment, and why do we feel embarrassed?
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever beat you.
Hey, Chris, what's with your leg? Oh my God, that's not your leg!
So, you may not have ever thought about this. So why do we feel embarrassed? I thought, well, let's just Google it and see what it says. Embarrassment is a self-conscious motion dictated by a disconnect between how we feel we should respond or act in public and how we actually respond or act. We are most likely to be embarrassed when we believe we have not lived up to what society asked of us, or when we are on the receiving end of undesired attention. So that's quite an interesting one, because if you look at times when you've been embarrassed, the classic thing, I guess, is when you might sort of slip over, for example, and you're like, oh, that's embarrassing. That disconnect between how we feel we should act or respond and how we actually act. Why is that such a problem? You know, because there's many situations where we will think perhaps something is expected or that's the norm, and then we do something different and it's not embarrassing. So where does this feeling of embarrassment come from? Why is it in some situations and not in others? So I wanted to delve into that. So doing something different to what you think you should be doing in that particular scenario seems to be what causes embarrassment. But why? Why is that such a problem? It comes down to the fact that it comes down to that feeling of, I suppose, being judged by other people, and that feeling of not fitting in. And this comes back to like a tribal thing or a group thing, where humans naturally are very tribal. We like to be in a group, we like to be in social groups, and kind of social groups of people that are kind of like us. So we generally like people that are like us. That's the simple sociology of it. And so if there's a situation and we feel that we are kind of outside of that in some way, i.e. how we're dressed, how we're acting, how we're speaking, whatever that is in that particular situation, but if you feel you're outside of that in a different way, there's that feeling of awkwardness because you're not part of the group, you're standing out somehow. And so that's kind of where it's coming from. So I said, going back to the definition, the embarrassment is the difference between how you think or feel you should be acting in a particular scenario and how you actually are. So if you go to a particular party and if you feel that it would be normal to be wearing a black tie tuxedo or a ball gown as a lady, and you're in jeans, there's that feeling of awkwardness and embarrassment that you're not wearing what's expected. And so that's where it comes from. It's kind of not fitting into the group. Exploring that, you know, why is that such a problem? And how does that really affect us and you? Why, you know, do we need to kind of think about this? Well, it all depends how you think about yourself in social situations with other people, and how you feel you are affected by people's thoughts about you. The ideal situation, I guess, is that you're going through your life, you're kind of generally a good person, you don't f people over, you're not an arsehole, you're a generally nice person on the whole, and you go through life doing your thing, and you're not concerned, you're not really sort of bothered about what other people think of you in relation to what you're doing. You're not basing your happiness or your justification or your validation on other people's opinion. You're happy because you're doing your thing and you know it's right, and you're doing it because you're interested in it, and that's it. You're not sort of looking for that external validation. You just do your thing and you're happy. It's all Gucci. However, a lot of us, you, me, all of us, at some point we take on that feeling of,
well, I need that external validation.
Often it's because of you're going into something different. So if you're used to doing something and you're comfortable with it, generally you'll have more confidence in that area, and so you'll kind of need less validation externally for that thing. If you are someone who does presentations in front of groups of people, whether it's lectures or in a business scenario, if you know your stuff and you know the subject you're talking about and you've done the presentation before, in general you're going to have an air of confidence about you that can deliver that presentation, answer questions, and generally be quite comfortable in that sort of situation in front of the people talking, etc. And so for you to feel that you've done a good job to deliver that presentation, often you can tell that by listening to yourself and sort of the number of questions that came in, how you answered them, that sort of thing, as opposed to needing people from the audience afterwards to kind of slap you on the back saying, oh, that was an amazing presentation, well done, we really loved it, great stuff, we learnt a lot. If you're doing a presentation for the first time, or you're not really confident or experienced doing them, what can happen is one of two things. Firstly, it's a situation where you don't know how to be giving that presentation. You've never done it before. It's a huge likelihood of you kind of making up this gap between how you're doing and perhaps how you think you should be doing. It's just kind of, you've invented this ideal and you judge yourself quite harshly because you feel that, well, you're new at it, how could you be good at it? Therefore you must be falling short, therefore you're not performing how you would expect to be performing, therefore it's embarrassing. The other one is you've seen other people do presentations and therefore you base your presentation and performance on theirs. There's naturally going to be a gap because you're different people, and because it's different you feel that's the perfect kind of accepted norm of presentations. You're doing yours in your way and it could be amazing, but because you're different to that person you judge yourself badly and therefore you're different to how it should be and therefore it's embarrassing. And so either of those two situations can result in the same thing. It's embarrassing. That then kind of goes full circle in a sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're kind of nervy, you're doing it, you're then sort of self-judging against this ideal, whether it's made up or another person, which makes you feel more nervous, which reduces your confidence, and then you start to make more mistakes and you get more embarrassed and I guess where I'm coming to this is, I suppose, to avoid embarrassment in any situation. The answer is to have that confidence or have that self-love, that self-acceptance that you are good enough, you are unique, and you doing the thing in your way is perfect. You may be doing it different to that person or this made up guess of what it should be, but that doesn't matter because you are doing it your way and you are you, and there's no one else like you in the world. And if you think about, if something is quite rare, there's not many of a certain thing, the value goes up. So how many of you are there? One. So imagine your value in society and the world. Huge. So, realize that your value in society is massive.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty.
Therefore, don't think of yourself in relation to other people or other situations. Just think of yourself as you in this situation doing this thing your way. And that can hugely affect how you feel from an embarrassed point of view.
Say what?
I know what you're thinking. Seriously, easier said than done. I'm not just going to be able to do it like that. Agreed. But the more you're aware of how you're thinking about a situation and catch yourself going, why am I feeling embarrassed? Oh, it's because I feel it should be done this way because that's the way I saw this person do it and I'm doing it differently. If you can, catch yourself thinking these things and then just quickly evaluate it, that makes literally no sense. I'm doing it my way. So the more realistic and you are, the better. So that's all I've got time for today. I've kind of lifted myself up even by talking about this, but it's a bit of an interesting and strange subject because we all have been embarrassed about something at some point. And when you sort of examine that and sort of look at that in the reality, it's ridiculous really, because it is based on a judgment and a kind of yearning to a degree of external validation that we're kind of putting on ourselves because of a made up perceived difference to how we feel we should be doing, which is really. So if you did get some value from this, as always, smash that like button till it's nice and blue and exscribe. I don't know what exscribe is, it's a whole new word, but if you can find out how to exscribe, then do that. And for now, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thanks again for watching, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so down here. And check out my other video down here. And remember, live your best life and profit from that passion. See you next time. Bye-bye.